Hi guys, Pete Mazaris, Detailed Home Inspections, Cleveland, Ohio. We are a home inspection company. We do residential and commercial inspection properties. We follow the general home inspection standards and practices for the state of Ohio, and we work with a lot of investors. We have investors that are local investors, we have investors that are out of state investors, and we have investors that are out of country international investors. We have clients in Mexico, in Canada, in Israel, in Australia, in England, in California, New York, Florida, Texas, and several other states and countries, but those are the ones off the top of my head. So, why so many investors that are out of state, out of country, come to Cleveland for investing? I mean, that's pretty scary, right? When I was a landlord and I had investment properties, they were in Cleveland. Okay, I wasn't buying them in Florida and living in Cleveland, or buying them in Mexico or Canada. So that tells me that many investors who are doing this, there is an infrastructure available to out of state, out of country investors, because there are property managers and local contractors who are experienced with working with these properties and are offering themselves as, not employees, but subcontractors for these investors. And it works because this market has been going on, from my point of view, since the housing market crash. This out of state, out of country investment into Cleveland's income property stock. And so, as I've said, we're home inspectors. I have a few home inspectors that work for me that are in the field and are conducting inspections, and I've trained them all because I've had that experience with these homes. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And of course, we inspect all kinds of properties in Cleveland and the surrounding areas, and you can see that from our website. But this channel that I am hosting here is for those investors who are looking to possibly invest in Cleveland. Maybe you're a first-time investor and you're like, okay, I'm reading where Cleveland's a great area to invest in. Why is that? Well, these homes are pretty inexpensive for the potential rent that you can get from them. And so, why is that? Well, in my opinion, it's because it's Cleveland is, in the Rust Belt, in the Midwest, where it's not a hot real estate market overall compared to other areas of our country. And so it also has a large area of lower income renters which need housing. And Cleveland and Ohio hasn't provided enough of that type of housing that low income renters are willing to live in. And so what you have are these older properties in class C neighborhoods. They're not the safest, they're not areas that are going to be appreciating. They're not going to be anchored by a school system that really people want to move to. The Cleveland Public Schools has its problems, and it is what it is. It's a big city problem, a political problem, a demographic problem, whatever you want to call it. The end result is that you have many low-income renters that some are able to get subsidized by the government with Section 8 housing vouchers. Others are working multiple jobs to be able to afford to live, and they have to live somewhere, right? And what that means is you have an opportunity as an investor to own an asset that may not appreciate as much as maybe middle class, upper middle class neighborhoods would, but you get that great cash flow. And so that attracts a lot of people, a lot of investors. And we have investors who've been using us for years who have built up portfolios of 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 homes over the years. And so that tells me that there is an opportunity for anybody who wants to educate themselves and take a risk and start investing in Cleveland. And so to answer my original question, why does somebody want to invest in Cleveland if they don't live in Cleveland? And the simple answer, in my opinion, is that you have affordable housing that has a never-ending supply of tenants, and the rental rates allow for a landlord to make a good return on investment based on that demand of renters and the relatively low price of the housing. And this market allows for that. And it's probably typical for many Midwest markets. We are in the Rust Belt. We are originally a manufacturing economy that is no longer a manufacturing economy. And as Cleveland grew up from the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s heyday of trade and manufacturing, steel and oil, and it started to develop and blossom through the manufacturing heydays of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, you have a process where the housing construction, like in any Midwestern city, started in the center and then started to expand outward into the suburbs. And then as the construction and development of Cleveland started to take off to other areas on the perimeter, typically what happens is you have a flight from that inner city heyday of when these homes were built into the suburbs, and then of course the jobs go with them, and then just like any other city, you're left with, unfortunately, a low income area in the city, and that's what you have in Cleveland, just like anywhere else. I'm not here to discuss the politics of that or why that happens, but it is what it is, okay? And so Cleveland has a lot of municipalities around it. There are actually 54 municipalities around Cleveland, believe it or not. You know, if Cleveland were to annex all of these cities, then what you would have is a much larger population center for the city of Cleveland. Like, for instance, I know that Atlanta has done that. I know that Indianapolis has done that, and many other cities have. And so if you look strictly at the population of Cleveland, you know, it's kind of not accurate, because Cleveland does not include all of these other peripheral municipalities. And then again, there's 54 of them. And the fun part is that all of them have different point of sale inspection requirements, which I'm going to get into in one of our future videos. So this video has gone on long enough. Hope you've enjoyed it.